I was up in VT, Vermont, coming back from a friend's cabin. I was leaving late at night because my grandmother was in the hospital, one of those, we don't think she is coming home visits. I left the cabin at about 2 a.m. and just threw the hospital's address in my GPS. I get about 2 hours into the journey and really need to relieve myself, so I pull off at this desolate visitor center where not a single car is. The bathrooms are locked, but they had a couple of porta potties outside, so I use that. I take the longest pee of my life and open the door to find a guy just waiting outside on the one I was in. There were 4 units in a row. He just looks at me in a cold and sterile voice and says, "Be careful out there. You never know what kind of weirdos you will find that I have to stop here for a second." Why would you say this to a person in the middle of VT at 4 a.m.? Why was he waiting for my stall? WTF? Anyways, the other odd thing was he must have been driving the only other vehicle there, an 18-wheeler. How did I not hear that thing come into the rest area? I speed walk the hell back to my car and drive away as quickly as possible. Going way too fast in moose country, not only because of my grandmother, but now I was really freaked out by this guy. I kept thinking back to his face. Nothing seemed right about the dude. His blank stare. His voice. He even had a weird smell that I can't really describe that was both strong but subtle at the same time. It was like a mix of freshly mowed grass and some chemically smell that I have never been able to pinpoint. Really, really odd. So I get about 20 minutes away and start to calm down and slow my speed when I hear that same monotone voice comes over my CB, passing on the right. All of a sudden, without warning, that creepy truck zooms by me going at least 30 miles per hour faster than I was, without headlights. Now, by this time, the early morning twilight was coming through the mountains, but it was still pretty dark out. The only lights this truck had were the amber running lights on the side of the trailer and tail lights. Then, as quick as this thing screamed by, it was gone. For 9 years I have been trying to explain how this guy was driving that fast on those tight roads without headlights, and I just have no clue. Maybe I was just way too tired. Maybe the guy did have headlights on and I just didn't see them come up to me around the bend. I don't know, but it is definitely the creepiest events I have ever experienced. My daughter and I were driving from Wichita Falls, Texas to Oklahoma City on I-44 to catch our plane home to PA, Pennsylvania. It was 4:05 a.m., I remember, because I was afraid we'd miss our flight, and the highway was empty that we were almost out of Lawton city limits when we saw an older model car, light blue or silver, launch off an embankment, roll 3 or 4 times, end over end. I could actually see a human fly through the air. I pulled over and called 911 and gave them the GPS coordinates of the OVRPS. I asked the dispatch if I should back down the highway, and she told me not to because there was an officer less than 2 minutes away. 20 minutes later, I get a call from the police, asking exactly where it was. I repeated the info. The officer said that he was sitting at that location. There was nothing there. Not a skid mark, broken glass, or flattened grass. Nothing at all. When I got home, I Googled it. This what I found out. Exactly 10 years prior, a group of teenagers were speeding down a suburban road when they lost control, flipped over a guide rail and rolled down the embankment. All 6 kids were killed. They were driving 1986 Oldsmobile. The time of the accident: 4:05 a.m. Keep Alberta roads safe this Halloween by making sure you get a designated driver or catch an Uber home if you've been out drinking. Drinking and driving is not a horror story anyone recovers from. I had pulled over one night to fuss at my 2 young children. A car pulled up beside me and told me that there had been a wreck over the next hill and traffic was stopped. They suggested that I take a side road that detours the wreck. I thanked them and they left. I decided not to take that road cause I'm from the country and didn't want to get lost. As I drove by the detour road, I looked over and saw the couple had stopped and had gotten out of their car. There was nothing but woods all around. It was just getting dark and that's all I could see. The next morning as I drove by the same road, I saw the dead end sign just past where the couple had gotten out of their car. Still gives me chills when I drive past it now, and it's been 15 years since it happened. A group of friends and I decided it would be a good idea to set off early one morning and drive about 4 hours to Kings Island in Cincinnati, Ohio. And be there when it opens, stay until it closes and come back. We were in 3 different cars, and since my friend and I smoked at the time, I quit years ago, we had the car to ourselves. We were heading south at 75, descending from Mount Jellicoe and about an hour from home. All of a sudden I saw a tow trailer stopped in front of me. I shook the steering wheel hard so as not to miss it and fishtailed it a bit and got it under control, only to look back and realize there was nothing there. It's not unusual for a really tired person to hallucinate, but my friend looked at me and asked if I had seen the tractor-trailer rig as well. Neither of us had been drinking and it was night and the road was wide open. The people in the car behind us saw nothing. This was without a doubt one of the strangest things that has ever happened to me.